Anyway, okay, thank you very much for being here. This is my first presentation in front of people for about 3 years, something. I'm quite nervous. It's quite different to have people actually in front of me instead of a screen. So I'm very nervous. So first, before we start, maybe a round of applause for Martin, who just cleared his CTA review board. And he is probably the candidate who is most qualified. He probably ticks all the boxes on the study guide. He had 3 to 10 years of experience. He studied for hundreds of hours. He knows probably everything about Salesforce, has done plenty of enterprise architecture. I'm nothing like Martin. I cheated my way from admin to architect, and I kind of jumped a few steps in between. And everything I'm telling you today is a combination of what I experienced, but also what a lot of people told me. And some of the people are actually in the room. Daniel, for example, helped me a lot in forming my role as an architect, who I am. But this is just one idea, one topic. Everybody is different. I think between the 50 to 100 people in here, we have 50 to 100 architects. Everybody's day is different. Everybody's role is different. Nevertheless, I think there's a few things we are all having in common, or we all can improve to become better architects. The first thing is, I stole that from Twitter a couple of days ago. I'm a genius, give me promotions, or I have no idea what I'm doing. And maybe then click one more time, because Daniel commented on it, and he says after 7 years, he still has the same problem. And I have the same problem every single day.
And I think the important thing is, it feels after 7 years, it feels like the pendulum goes up and down while it's moving from left to right. So it's like a drummer who's always off the beat. It's like
Yes. It doesn't get any better. I think one of the people here asked me today, doesn't it get easier once you become architect? Even once you become CTA, no, it even becomes worse. The imposter syndrome is horrible. It never goes away. And it costs. So I'm a better paid imposter now. So what are my tasks? What I did is, as a preparation, I just looked at a random week of my calendar. What do I actually do day by day? I do some coding, I do some administration. To this day, I clean up page layouts. I still see it as my task to clean up the page layout right before the UAT. This is something, maybe I just enjoy it, but I still do it. I do some coding. I do design solutions. This is what actually architect is supposed to do. But I also write ticket. I communicate a lot with stakeholders, to the client, to internal stakeholders. I write RFPs. Who of you in the room writes a request for proposals, either internally or externally? It's a really nice task, I find. It's very core architecture at the end of the day. You have to come up with You have to come up with a complex architecture in a short time frame. But I also do first-level support. Who of you doesn't do first-level support? Daniel doesn't do any first-level support, or he does? I love doing first-level support, especially the week after go live. Because this is where I get feedback about the product, about the architecture I just built. If 15 people in the front ask me, where's the button to download the PDF? I did something wrong, obviously. I review orgs for architecture. This is kind of fun because I can critique other people's work. I hope nobody ever reviews the architecture I built, because we all fuck up one way or another, and you never know why they built it the way they built it. But if I ever find any of you having a case __C object, I just reviewed an org where they rebuilt every single object as a custom object. And I do a lot of coaching. And yeah, literally this week I write my installation guide for the app we are currently building. So half of it is architecture, half of it is not. And maybe the core message there is, as an architect, I don't actually know what I do. I don't know what I do next week, and I don't know what I do the week after. It's as varied as it can be from a technical point of view. But there is one thing, next one, it's a little bit different. I'm very confused every single day about the task, because nothing that comes up I have experience in. You know, I didn't know how to write installation guides before I started this week. I didn't, and nothing can prepare you for that experience. But I took away something from the journey I had the last few years, and that is, I'm the beacon of stability. If I look around in the projects I am in, if it's small or big projects, the admins are confused and panicky. The project manager is definitely panicky about budgets and timelines, always. The client has panic that we actually can deliver what we told them because they don't really know, they don't trust us, they don't trust Salesforce. Sales always is panicky. And the developers have always the problem they can't solve and the ticket which is currently stuck in the sprint. As an architect, I see it as my role to be the beacon of stability, to give the people confidence. Yes, we can do that. We have everything under control. We are going to be in budget, in time, no sweat, no tears. And to do that, I identified, and people like Daniel helped me, maybe not directly, but indirectly, to who I actually talk to and what do they want. Let's start at the top left. C-level. I call them C-level, but it's everybody who writes checks. People who give us the money, the stakeholders. We talk to business, which this is the people we build Salesforce for, our sales users, service users, our field service agents, whoever we build it, and then technical. This is either on the customer side, admins, integration architects, or internal with our side. And all three of them have very, very different needs. And we have to communicate to all of three of them. C-level, they are simple. They want to make money, return of investment. They want to minimize the risk. This is something I learned only recently, that they are really, really scared. Now, they are really scared of a data breach, of a project going completely off the rails, of a solution not delivering what is promised. You know what happens with the CTO if a project goes really belly up? They also can get fired. It's not just us. They need a trusted advisor. They need somebody who challenges them, because there is not many people around them who challenge them anymore. Definitely not sales, and definitely not the project manager, and definitely not their people around them. We are often the only one who are allowed to challenge them. We are almost like the clowns back in the days in the castles. And we have to tell them the bad news. I'm really sorry, the architecture we proposed 3 months ago doesn't work. The idea we had of using 15 external objects which you all chain in a row really has bad performance. I'm really sorry. Yeah, it happens. We all make mistakes every single day. Business is completely different on the other hand. Business wants us to understand them deeply. They need us as their trusted advisor, as their guide along the journey. Who of you interacts with business on a regular day as an architect? Who doesn't has to start. We build software for business. We build it for the CEO, for the C-level to give us the money, but at the end of the day, the business uses our software. I see myself still to this day as a product manager, as a product owner, as somebody who makes users happy. We are also innovators for the business. We share best practices with them. We have seen more sales operations than everybody else in the company. We know that 15 opportunity stages is probably not a good idea. We also know that there's no need in automating every single task whichever can happen. We also can share industry standards. We know what are common KPIs in a service organization. Business often says, yeah, we want to report. Yeah, what do you want to report on? I have ideas. I download the package from AppExchange, the standard dashboard package. And I make assumptions. This comes back to the panicky. This comes back to ambiguous information. Within the project, we always have a lack of information. We always have a lack of knowledge. We don't know what the future brings. We don't know if we should go external object or should we go point-to-point integration or should we implement MuleSoft. We have to make assumptions and decisions. And lastly, we go to technical. Again, we have to be the challengers. Not that we always know it better, but how often do developers, admins come to us and say, no, this doesn't work, I can't get it to work. My personal standard answer is, did you read the documentation? And then a second question is, did you read the documentation all the way to the end? Yes, and then maybe we read it one more time together. We have to make it happen. Literally. If Friday afternoon the system is down, and I think this is what Jan and I worked together for a long time, and this is what we took away, is if Friday afternoon the system is down and they can't convert any leads anymore to opportunities, I take it on myself to help there. I make it happen. If the project has to go live on Monday, I do whatever it takes. This is also my role as an architect. Innovation leader, I bring in ideas, even for developers, and I own the limits. I run all the numbers. I calculate everything. How many tasks, how many emails, how many API calls, how many criteria-based sharing rules. I think this is one of the main things I learned during my CTA journey is all the numbers have to be calculated. Because it always is the numbers who kill you at the end of the day. How many active process builder can you have back in the days? And lastly, decision maker. But this is a good point. What does C-level want? It's actually pretty simple. And they want the same from us. They want to make more money. They want to look good. One of the first projects I ever did was for a big brewer who is here, as not brewer, beverage company. And we basically built a product which got the CTO promoted. Did it have any business value? I don't think so. But it got this person promoted and we got big checks along the way. No, never underestimate that part. I learned that also from building apps. Nice screenshots, nice looking UI, something which is easy to present is really, really valuable. And how does it reduce risk? Nothing is worse for C-level than anything that reduces risk. And coming back, when I communicate to C-level, when I communicate to high-up stakeholders, I communicate only that. I say, what is your problem? What is my solution? That's it. Maybe, you can stay there, maybe I do a justification, maybe I add my assumptions, and maybe I mention the alternative solutions. But 9 out of 10 times I don't. Problem, solution. Because everything else confuses, makes nervous. Because if I'm nervous and I don't stand behind my solution, how should I instill confidence into this person on the other side? And this comes to the role to the outside. I separated now roles to the inside and roles to the outside. First, as the expert. I have to know my stuff. Technically, Salesforce, but I have to translate it. I try to use as little Salesforce language as possible. I have to translate my knowledge into the business speak of the customer. I'm currently working with a bank. They can never call it account or contact, they always call it merchant. That means I always call it merchant. Every document I write, it's called merchant. I have to validate and comfort them. Yes, I have to say, yes, fine, we have that under control, this is going to work, this is how it's going to look. I have to support decisions, oftentimes by making the decision and taking it on myself, and I have to gather information. My partner always jokes half of my days, actually, I'm just a well-paid nerd, I am allowed to read documentation half my day. Yes, and I'm lucky, I enjoyed it. But I'm also sales. Okay? Especially as an architect, I have to create demand. Not like a salesperson, but I am the innovation leader, I am the expert, I am the trusted advisor. I can create demand for more. I can create demand to have this next MuleSoft project, to automate our service agent, to make a multi-channel implementation. And I have to show value. And one of the best people to show value is me, because I hopefully understood the business really deeply and can show how the solution I propose creates deep value for the company. And again, I have to gather information about not only technology, but also about different companies, about different industries. And lastly, this is everybody in here does this already amazingly, networker. As an architect, I'm only as much worth as my network. I never can know everything myself, just impossible. I'm stuck most of my times with my problems. I have to ask for support all the time. And I have to give back support. And not only to fellow architects, but to random people on LinkedIn, on Twitter, in personal opinions. I have to be able to know somebody. And again, because I have to gather information. But now, let's go to the inside. Now, one excursion here. As an expert, now get back, no, about the translate. I have to communicate complex things in an easy way, in a simple way. We build really complex solutions. But as we have been at the beginning, we have to instill confidence in our clients. That means we have to hide the complexity. Most of you are developers here. We have to be the nice built interface who abstracts away all the complexity. We have to make sure that yes, we know our things, but we speak the audience's language. We don't show the complexity, especially the dirty secrets underneath. Because again, we have to validate in comfort when we are the expert. And we always have to tie it back to the industry, especially people who have been in consulting longer than I am. I'm pretty new to consulting. It's always about business. It's always about them. Don't make our client, our customer, learn our language. We have to learn their language. Because we have to avoid technical jargon. Sorry. I often see it with my clients when they desperately try to use Salesforce words. You know. I have one client who continuously calls my app a cartridge. It's okay. They pay the check. They can call it cartridge, and I call it cartridge. It's a cartridge from now on. And I found, no, it's okay. And the same is, I use invocable methods. I don't call them invocable methods anymore. I call them modules because people understand modules easier. Yeah. It's an interface definition for the technical people, but yeah, it's a module. People understand module. So, but to the inside. I'm also an expert to the inside. Again, I have to know my things, but I have to be curious because I bring innovation into the company. But I also have to be obsessed. Let's be honest, as admin, as developers, people who deliver, more often than not, I learn enough to get it, make it happen. While as an architect, I learned I have to go deep, 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 deep. I have to know every single detail, and I have to click on every single link and have to open every single limit. It's not enough to make it work in my sandbox. It has to be stable and working in 6 months and 6 years. And this means I have to be obsessed. It has to be broad and it has to be deep. And again, it has to be industry knowledge. Always industry specific. Because internally, I have to go away. Internally, I'm also a leader. Anke, no? Thank you. It's really confusing, sorry, it's to have a tough job. Anke, can we have a round of applause for Anke? Again, with being a leader, we have to get things done. How often are things stuck in projects? Because there's so many things which can make a project stuck. When nobody can make a decision. Lack of motivation. We have to help, we have to pull the team. Never underestimate what leadership role you are as an architect. People look up is the wrong word, but look for leadership, look for motivation. And we can help to create success. We can make success visible for the team. And of course, we have to do decisions. It's really, we talked about it a little bit before, that especially in bigger companies, it's very easy to postpone decisions. And suddenly a simple decision takes 3 months, 6 months, and this derails the whole project. And we as leaders can make these decisions. And lastly, yes, we give feedback. We critique people, but we also take feedback. And the last point to the inside is enabler. We enable others to do their best job ever. I think, Naren, you told me your job is basically help others to get their job done. We enable others, but we are also role models. Again, I said we look up, so we make sure that we are on time in meetings, we are prepared, we are motivated, we are well behaved. It sounds a little bit stupid, but you're the architect in the team. We are scouts, which means we go out and we go in. We have the network, you remember, and we are coaches. We are never alone. We always help others. And this is one of the roles I see myself in the inside. Outside role, inside roles, there's as much other stuff as you can imagine. But one of the important things is the expert part. And this is, I was asked often, once you become CTA, doesn't it become easier? No, the opposite is true. Studying is part of my profession. Studying is part of my daily work of my job. This is not I do something in the free time. I have a calendar time blocked. I have a study plan for the whole year. Because, yes, we make a lot of money, but I would say this also makes us, we have to invest private effort. It's not enough to wait for our boss to tell us to study this time, to get some time. We have to invest. Otherwise, we are left behind. The industry moves so fast. And the experience plus knowledge is awesome. It's often discussed experience versus knowledge. I'm more on the knowledge side. I can admit it. I don't have that much experience. I know that is a lack and I want to catch that up, but I think both have to be there. And certifications, trails, and trainings matter. It's not enough to just have experience. And we have to gather the knowledge strategically. It has to fit within the company, within our clients. So ask your team lead, ask your colleagues what is important knowledge we can have. If the company, like SumUp, just introduced MuleSoft, maybe I should become MuleSoft professional. And the last is the one, the higher you get, the harder it becomes. The expectation becomes higher and higher. It's interviews become, sometimes I can just tell from my experience, interviews become kind of funny because people just expect as an architect I know everything, which is absolutely not true. I have no idea about integration architecture. I couldn't even find the MuleSoft homepage without Google. I basically, yes, I know how a JSON looks in an XML, but I have no idea how to transform it. So the higher it gets, the harder it becomes. And it's our duty to stay on top of things. It's not once you reach that, you stay there, you have to stay on that level every single day. And you have to earn the trust, you have to earn that leadership, that expert role every single day with your whole team. But I'm still confused every single day. I have no idea what I do Monday, I have no idea what I do Tuesday. The only thing I know, I'm Johann, I'm a Salesforce architect from Berlin. Any questions? We have even a microphone. We need a few questions.
My question is it important for an architect to have a consultancy experience? Or it's kind of okay to be at a product company for, I don't know, many years and you can grow to an architect?
Yeah, I can only speak for myself. I was in-house for most of my career, so I also had the same problem. Be aware of the limitations you have and supplement that knowledge. So again, I had a lot of calls with Daniel. Daniel is my coach there. He told me a lot about consulting, and I talked to other people who are into consulting. I am now with a consultancy. It's not so much different than in-house, but it has a lot of, you learn a lot. So no, you don't, but be aware of the limitations.
So it can boost your progress.
It can boost definitely your progress. At the same time, I heard stories from people who are at consultancies and that just end up on the same project for 2 years. Doesn't make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another question, if I may. How do you manage this confusion moment? If you don't know what's happening tomorrow, how do you manage your life, your work?
I try to do as much sport as possible, as much meditation as possible, naps from time to time, and work as little as possible. No, seriously.
But
I get panicky on a regular basis, and usually I go for a walk or go jogging or biking.
And this, sorry, but this is like the private way. I mean, work-wise, do you plan somehow? Maybe blockers, maybe I don't know.
I still haven't figured that out completely. I have to admit, I still have my private way of doing it. Admit it and live with it and find your way of solving it. I can tell you, sitting on the couch and surfing on Facebook doesn't help.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Cooking helps for me a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Hi, Johann.
Hey.
I just would like to ask you mentioned the people you help, but who helps you? Who do you need professionally at work to be your right hand, left hand, whatever? Who do you work with?
I'm a freelancer, so I work with many different people in many different roles, and I would even say the people who help me are more not at work, but in my private network. People I met through community events like today, through LinkedIn, through Twitter. That's actually where I get more of the help. You would be surprised how helpful people are. I can mention Daniel there. And Ankit also gave me...
That's a bit general. That's a bit general, but just as an inspiration, if people are in junior roles, you as an architect, what do you see? What is the need? What roles are needed around you to work together?
It completely depends. Currently, I'm in a project where we are 2.5 people. Yeah, because we noticed that we have been starting with 15, and we got rid of 13 of them because we noticed that the 2.5 of us are faster than the 15 because the 2 of us. So who do I need as an architect? I still see it as my role that I can do most stuff myself. So it really depends on what the project calls for. Sorry, I cannot answer that question.
Okay, danke.
Yeah. Yes, these are good questions for the panel.
Yeah. Okay, we leave it for the panel then. Okay.
Oh no, but Daniel, one line. I'm not at the panel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably we should just start the panel and have Johann in the middle so that.
I'm not at the panel.
Yeah.
My hair is not done. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Harriet.
Okay, since you talk so much about risk, in risk management, usually it's measured using people, time, and money, and you need to find like a critical path. So what do you do to measure risk of your projects? It's in the standard way, or do you have your own way of measuring risk?
I keep it pretty simple, my risk management. First, I consider everything that's outside of Salesforce a risk, because I don't have it under control. As soon as I have to interact with another system, another team, it's by definition a risk, so it's a dependency risk or a dependency risk. Mm-hmm. And the second risk is I flag that and I monitor that as closely as possible. I have to admit I do it more rule of thumb than complex risk management.
Okay, thank you. Someone else?
That's
okay.